Hi everyone. Just waiting for a few people to join in. So excited for today's session. Hello. Hi. Super excited for today's session because as a mom, I've had a lot of dental problems with my kids. So yes, I'm really waiting for the doctor to clear a lot of all of our queries. Welcome to Woo Factors. Hello. Hope you've been taking out time for yourself. Hope you've been making me time. Have you a thumbs up for all of you who've been making me time? Just a second till I adjust my camera. Yes. Hi everyone. Hi. And if you're wondering what to do in your me time, Woo Factors is here. So just check out our page if you're ever, wanting to take out some time for yourself and wanting to learn something during your me time, join us at Woo Factors. Hello, hello. Today we are going live with a pediatric dentist, Dr. Sharanya. Till she joins in, I'll just tell you a little bit about Dr. Sharanya. She owns her dental studio called the Krishna Dental Studio in Bangalore. She has over 9 years of experience in pediatric dentistry, and she is a firm believer of preventive practices to ensure the overall health of our children. And her studio is completely child friendly to remove the fears that we have with dentistry and to promote, you can say, a positive attitude towards a complete oral hygiene for our kids. So welcome everyone in our live session today. I will just check if doctor is in. Give me a second. Just sent her the request, waiting for her to add on. Yeah. Hi, Dr. Sharanya.
Hi Neha, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What
Doc-
plans weekend?
weekend, yes. Huge plans with two little kids. So I think weekends with mothers is like a normal weekday, but yeah, we do our things on the weekends with them. What plans do you have?
Work, I think mostly.
Okay. That's right. Doctor, could you adjust your camera a little? I mean, your forehead seems to be cutting off.
Better?
Perfect. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, perfect. Perfect, yes. So, everyone, Dr. Sharanya is here with us to answer all our queries. So, in case you have anything that you have to ask her regarding your oral hygiene or your kid's oral hygiene, do drop it in the comment section and she'll be really happy and glad to answer all the queries you have. So, doctor, how has your experience as a dentist with kids been in general?
Very different from adults for sure. So there's
Huh.
our most of our effort doesn't go in the treatment per se, but in holding the kid on the chair, getting them, convincing them to just open their mouth to even show us their teeth. I think that's the hardest. Once we are past that, everything else is manageable.
Right, true that. I have these sessions where I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. So when I take my 8-year-old and literally the dentist is like, "Mummies, please move away. Otherwise, the kids are going to really throw even more tantrums. Let us just take care of them." I think I'll have even mothers throwing tantrums when they see their kids crying and things like
Oh,
that.
yes. Yes, yes. Sometimes the mothers just start crying along with the kid also. So,
Oh my God, that's nice. We have a one question just by a user. I
hmm.
think we'll take that up first before we move to ours. Is that how to brush a 1-year-old's teeth?
See, a 1 year old is too tiny to use your regular brush, and I assume there's only going to be one or two teeth in their mouth. There's something called a finger brush. It's a silicone based brush you can just wear on your finger, and you can use that. Put the child on your lap, probably how they bathe a child that year. Put the child on your lap, on your thighs rather, and head facing towards you. So then you can just use the finger brush, preferably a non-foaming toothpaste because the child is not going to be able to spit as much. You can start with something that doesn't lather much, non-fluoridated, non-foaming toothpaste. It's easily available across pharmacies. So you can use something like that, take it in the finger brush and just open the mouth with these two fingers and just slightly clean off the 2-3 teeth that are there. But yes, you should start brushing the minute the first tooth comes into the mouth.
Right, but with the silicone brush that you can put on your fingers.
Yeah, there is finger brush. It's easily available across the stores.
Right. There's one more user was asking us, I think they mean non-fluoridated toothpaste. Till
Huh.
what age should we use that for our kids?
Non-fluoridated is just something you start with so that the child just gets used to the brushing. After that, there is an age-wise increment you get in toothpaste. So nearly till 2-3 years of age, you can just stick to all these kid toothpaste. The first year, you can stick to just non-fluoridated till the child is okay with a little spitting, a little lather and a little spitting. Till that age, you can use your non-fluoridated. Once the child learns to even spit out half the toothpaste that's there in the mouth, you can switch to a child toothpaste. And that's probably till 3 years of age. And once the child learns to completely spit out the toothpaste, that's say 3, 4, it's different for each child. So once the child learns to spit completely, switch to an adult toothpaste also. So by the time the
Okay.
child is 6, the transition should have happened to the adult toothpaste.
Okay, right. I hope your question has been answered. And yeah, coming to that point, I know, switching to the adult toothpaste is good, but kids love eating up the toothpaste even though they know how to spit it, is what we have experienced.
See, the kids eat the child toothpaste, the baby toothpaste. If you have ever tasted it, it's more of strawberry and bubble gum and all those flavors. It tastes like jam or jelly.
Okay.
So that is tasty. Even you would want to eat it if you put it in your mouth. You switch to an adult toothpaste that's mint and spicy and all of those flavors for the child which they don't like. The instinct, the reaction is they spit. Because they
Right.
don't like the taste, they learn to spit. So you can make the transition slow, maybe slightly mix the adult toothpaste and the child toothpaste.
Oh,
Transition as gradual as it can be, and then switch to adult. So you should only switch to adult when the child has learned how to spit completely so that they don't swallow the toothpaste. The fluoride in an adult toothpaste is double the amount that's there in a child's toothpaste. So if they
okay.
swallow the adult toothpaste, it's bad. It's not supposed to be taken in. So once they learn to spit, then move to an adult toothpaste.
Right. Makes sense. So, doctor, what are the first or the early signs that we should look out for decay in your kids' teeth, and that it rings an alarm? Okay, now it's not the normal thing.
See, first thing we say is the child should be brought to the dentist the minute the first tooth erupts. That's
Okay.
when we teach you. So any pediatric dentist you go to when the first tooth has erupted will teach you how to brush, how to keep it clean. What I encourage is the first birthday. Post the first birthday, just the mother, the child, and the father, everyone should just come, learn how to keep the teeth clean. We can brush in the clinic and show it to them, demonstrate, have a little practice session so they understand. It's not easy. It's really not easy holding a 1-year-old child and getting them to open the mouth and brush. You must know, of course. It's not easy. So it's okay if the parent comes couple of times to the clinic, practices right there with the dentist. It makes it a little easy for them, but not many follow this. But I encourage. And the second thing is the first sign of decay, like you asked, is not usually, the parents usually come to us when they see a ditch or when they say food getting stuck in the cavity or the child complains of pain. That's pretty much the last stage. At
Okay.
that stage, you are not giving us easy options for treatment. The first sign of decay would be white patches or white lines on the teeth. It can be a front tooth, it can be the back tooth, any tooth. The first sign would be bright white lines. So when you just wipe the tooth with a cloth or cotton, you see bright white lines on the tooth. That is your very first sign of decay. At that
Okay.
stage, if you come to us, there's a lot of preventive procedures that we can do to either stop the decay there or probably reverse it or make sure it doesn't progress further. The second stage is when this starts taking up your food stains and food colors, then you start noticing those brown, black stains on the teeth, on the grooves of your back teeth. That's the second stage. That's where the ditch is not formed yet, but there is decay. Now this is active decay. This decay will have to be drilled and filled and all those things.
Okay.
Mild, still a smaller decay. The third one is where the child starts saying food is getting stuck. There is a hole. At
Right.
that stage, then there is nothing I can do to prevent. I'll have to drill, clean up the hole completely, and then fill it up. Post this is when the child reports pain. That is pretty much the last stage where I can only do root canals or something like that. And
Right.
it just goes by common knowledge. It's the smaller the filling, the longer the life of the filling, the better it stays in the mouth. The filling doesn't break easily. The bigger the filling, it's gonna keep cracking, breaking, leading into troubles.
Right. So even when you start noticing shiny white patches and gradually just move to a pediatric dentist and get it checked before the problem worsens and the child goes into more pain. Basically, yes. So
Yes.
in that, you can say that few kids anyway have a little yellowish teeth, brownish or black. I mean, my little one shows, a little blackness on his teeth, but nothing else. Is that really okay, or they are actually signs that, it needs to be treated?
Some kids have some kind of stains on the teeth. They do not go away with brushing, but they are just stains. If you try to scratch them off, they won't peel off a layer of the tooth. If it's decay and you try to scratch it off with something, it's going to crumble. There's some powder will come off. That's typically how a decay will manifest. If it's just a stain, it's just going to stay there like any other stain, like how adults have coffee stains, something
Hmm.
like that on children. But it's common, it happens a lot. It's because of some bacteria in the mouth. It's harmless. We can clean it off. We have little high speed brushes, mechanical brushes. We can just clean out the stains, but it's always better you get it checked. Sometimes what you think might be a stain might be the early stage of a decay. And especially front teeth, they are the first to decay in most children who are into bottle feeding, who keep the milk in the mouth and they just go to sleep with the bottle in their mouth. The milk
Right.
stays on the teeth overnight. The child is not being brushed at night. The milk is stuck there. And over a period of time, even a few months, the tooth starts decaying. And it becomes so fast that the parent thinks the tooth came out like that. That's what I mostly hear from parents. The tooth came damaged. Toota hua hi aaya tha. That's what I hear. But that's not the case. I mean, it decayed so quickly that they didn't get the time to see the transition.
Transition, right. That was so informative, Doctor. I mean, these are things that even we don't notice in our everyday life. We look for other signs, or the sparkling white teeth, or the powder coming out, or the fact that it could decay fast. So do keep an eye out. Was just not known to, I mean, not known to me, so I'm sure not known to a lot of parents out there. Thank you so much, Doctor. That was really informative. And yes, we're going to look out for those small signs and move to you or to any pediatric dentistry consult as soon as possible. We have
Yes.
a question. I think my questions are not moving up. Are you able to see the question, Doctor? I'm not able to scroll up.
Let me just see.
Yeah, it is coming.
Um,
A lot of parents give milk
Parents.
to older ones without brushing in the morning. Is that okay? Older, as in what age are you talking about?
So see, mostly in this regard, older or younger, I would say if the child has brushed well at night, and then in the morning if they just rinse their mouth and they take milk and then brush, it's fine. It's okay because at night you have kept your hygiene. The mouth is completely clean at night. Provided the night brushing is done properly, morning mouth rinse followed by coffee or tea or milk or whatever, and then the child brushes it out, it's perfectly okay.
Okay, so basically you're saying take care of your night oral hygiene a little more than the morning. I mean, morning oral hygiene, yes, but night oral hygiene is a must to be ensured.
Morning is pretty much a routine, so everybody does it invariably. Night, whatever is stuck, you're not talking, you're not washing your mouth, you're not rinsing, you're not even drinking water. So what is stuck is going to remain until morning, and it's going
Right.
to dry up there and rot there. Even food left outside on the table generally rots. It's the same thing. Something stuck in your teeth somewhere is going to rot overnight, and you're inviting trouble. Then that rot is going to eat up your teeth as well. It's not just going to rot on the food. So night is more dangerous compared to the day. During the day, you're drinking water, you're rinsing, you're talking, there is saliva. So everything just keeps getting washed out, which does not happen at night. So night is definitely way more important than morning.
Than the morning time. So, doctor, there are a few people I have heard of, and there are a few people who have asked us also on the platform that, my kid doesn't eat much of sweets and chocolates. We ensure we brush their teeth regularly. yet they have cavities, yet they are prone to root canal treatments. What could be the other causes of all these? What should parents take care of?
See, cavities are not just sweets. Cavities can come with anything and everything. So even the food we eat. One major problem with kids these days is they watch a lot of television, a lot of screen time. They keep the food in their mouth and they forget. The food is sitting there for next 10-15 minutes till somebody comes and says swallow. So that is something, the food is pouched there. The food is pouched, it's in contact with the teeth, it is getting digested very slowly, and food kept for that long is one major reason why you will see decay in between teeth. Not just on the surface, there are two teeth, back teeth like this, you'll see decay here in between the teeth. That is not even visible to parents. That is visible when they come to us in early stages only on the X-ray. And when there is a hole, we can see it. When there is no hole, it's only visible on X-rays, even to us. So that is the first place the decay starts, when children keep food in their mouth for a very long time. So it's better to encourage children to eat without screens, without distractions, and being a little active. Just eat and quickly swallow your food. Finish your food. Eating slow is okay, but keeping food in mouth for a long time is not okay. So it's not just sweet. Even your chapati, your rice, your vegetables, anything can cause decay if kept on the tooth for very long. So sweet is a culprit, yes, because of the high sugar content as compared to other food. But even regular food can cause decay if it is stuck on the tooth for too long. This is one factor. Another reason we have is the brushing, which is the very basic one which parents should emphasize. So till the child is around 7 or 8 years, the parent should brush for the child. The child does not know. The child is copying the adult. They're imitating what the adults are doing. So the brush goes in the mouth, goes in 2-3 different directions, trying to imitate what the parents are doing, but it's not actual brushing. Brushing is more about technique, that you're reaching every nook and corner of the mouth. Children cannot do that. It goes in the mouth, there's a lot of foam, they think the job is done, they spit it out, they go. So till they are 7 at least, the parent should brush. After that, maybe assisted. So the child can brush along with the parent. So if they see the parent brushing and the child brushes with them. And that is another thing. And then not rinsing mouth after eating anything. It's multifactorial. It's not just one. So if you don't eat sweets, it's fine. But if other than that, if some children have very thick saliva, even kids who are mostly dehydrated, they don't drink too much water. The saliva, the spit itself is so thick that it makes them a little, the washing away of food debris that is stuck does not happen as effectively. So that can also cause, it's not the main cause, but it can add on to the other causes for decay.
Okay, so not drinking enough water can also lead to decay. So it's not just, okay, don't eat chocolates or brush your teeth is not going to prevent it. Ensure they chew their food fast, don't hold it on, and drink a lot of water, which obviously our parents have told us a lot, but I think somewhere down the line we're not
Emphasizing.
emphasizing it. Yes. We have a question here, doctor. What's your opinion about tooth powder for kids above 5 and for adults?
Adults, I'm not going to comment because it's a completely choice-based decision. For kids, I don't think generally tooth powder is not something we advise as dentists. Reason being, it's rough, it's abrasive. It's going to erode a part of your tooth. But since it's an age-old practice, I don't know how much authority we have to comment on it, but comparatively, toothpastes are softer. They don't erode. The job of toothpaste or tooth powder is basically like a detergent. You're trying to put it on your tooth to clean away everything. So whatever works the best in that regard, it's a personal choice. But yeah, if you ask me, no, I would say go for a toothpaste because it's softer. Anything which is not very rough, the toothpaste should not feel gritty against your hand, against your fingers.
Fingers. Right. There's a lot of love pouring in, doctor, and I hope whoever asked it here, the question has been answered for you. There's been a lot of love, continuously pouring in for telling us about the doctor, we have a question here. Filling should be done with gold or silver. Okay.
No, nothing. We have tooth colored. Why would you go for something as fancy? We have silver colored caps though for kids if they want to. I mean, if needed, not want to. Post root canal, we put caps. Those are silver colored, or if everything is tooth colored now. Who wants multicolored? But there are fillings. There are multicolored fillings for kids. Sometimes kids want red fillings and yellow fillings and green fillings. So we have sparkly fillings for them.
Oh,
That we
okay.
have for kids and adults. If they want to, okay, we can do it.
Can do it for sure. Yes. So, doctor, this thing that, older generation, our parents used to tell us to chew an apple or chew the fruit, and nowadays we tend to give our kids in the juice form. We need to, make juices and give it to them. Maybe,
Mm.
mix up the fruits. What is your take on this? Does that have any impact from chewing and drinking a fruit juice, or, chewing the salads?
From a decay perspective, the major thing is when you take anything which has fiber in it, it works as a cleansing. It cleanses out all the grooves and whatever is stuck there. It helps in cleansing everything out. So that is one thing from a decay perspective. But there is a more important aspect of it where chewing hard stuff, if you see our older generation, maybe two generations or one generation before us, they didn't have much of this braces issue. They had good big jaws, well developed jaws where all the teeth fit in right. That's because they were using their jaws to chew on hard stuff and raw stuff rather. Like even now, if we have to eat a sugarcane, we would give our kids juices. We'll give them a sugarcane juices. They ate sugarcane. So things like that, it helps in development of your jaw, development of your face. The more you chew, the harder things you chew, the jaw grows accordingly. You date it back to our early man, they had huge jaws. I'm sure they didn't have problems of wisdom teeth getting stuck inside the jaw and then we are surgically removing it. That did not happen in much in the earlier generation. Our teeth are not reducing in size, but our jaws shape, size, the way it develops, everything is changing. Our teeth are the same size. So the better you eat, the stronger, the harder the like fruits and vegetables, the raw foods, they're much better than eating juices and drinking juices and all those things. Definitely. In terms of development, in terms of cavities, everything.
Everything. So much better prefer giving them something to eat and chew. Do not juice it out and make it easy. I think make it a little tougher for their own good. You can.
Definitely.
In that perspective, Doctor, say, I mean, a lot of kids are coming in for filling to you these days. Say they already have fillings done in their teeth.
Hmm.
Still, they can do hard things. It's not going to remove the filling out, right? Or do you suggest those kids do not chew much of hard things?
No, no. See, if we think that a filling is not going to stay, we immediately recommend putting a cap on the tooth, just to
Right.
hold all the, if it's a big filling. So small fillings are not going to be that bothersome anyway. You can eat anything on it. If we do
Okay.
not restore the function, there is no point doing the filling. The filling is
Hmm.
done to restore normal function. Normal function is to chew and eat whatever the child wants to chew and eat. So if we feel there is a cavity which is big, so big that the filling is not going to stay, then we put a cap on it. The
Right.
cap is like a big filling. Now the child can eat whatever they want on the cap. Nothing is going to happen.
So we can still burn for it. That's right. That's right. So this is one thing, Doctor, that you were also talking about on your page that we noticed that we really wanted to talk to you about was the habit of thumb sucking, of mouth breathing, of grinding teeth at night. How do these habits affect kids? Do they really affect their hygiene or health, and how do they affect?
It affects. It definitely affects. So when there is constantly a finger in your mouth, most commonly the thumb, what you're putting pressure on the top of your jaw, the palate of the mouth. There's so much pressure there or on the teeth. Typically, the thumb goes and sits either behind the front teeth or it directly goes onto the palate for any child, thumb or finger or anything. So one first thing to notice is the mouth is always open. The thumb is going in, the teeth are not in contact. And plus, there is so much pressure on the upper jaw that the development of the jaw changes. Now, the upper jaw that has to be wide, it has to be like a U, will start becoming like a V because it's constantly being pressurized from one particular angle in one particular direction. And also, when the thumb is taking the place, that's actually the place where the tongue has to go. The tongue doesn't have place to go. The tongue is forced to sit low. It goes like that. So when the tongue goes there, the upper jaw's development completely changes. So if you see any child who's had a history of either mouth breathing or thumb sucking, they would typically have a long face and the upper jaw would be narrow, teeth would be coming out, and they would go for braces later on. So if caught early, say if you catch them with this problem between 6, 7, 8 years of age, there are things you can do. You can stop the problem there, correct the problem in the jaw at that time, because once the child hits puberty, there is nothing much we can do. Then the child only has to go for braces. If caught early, there are things we can do to modify the growth, and whatever has gone wrong, we can push it in the correct direction. We can catch it early and modify the growth. Try to push the growth in the direction where the jaw growth will come out proper in the end. We can probably even avoid braces later on.
Oh, okay. So if we catch these habits, don't wait. Okay, we'll do the braces later. We actually do have preventive measures we can use before we go for braces at the age, say, before 10 years of age or 12 years of
Before
age.
10. Yes, you can. So if, see, mouth breathing, if you ask me, till around 3 years of age, finger sucking, thumb sucking doesn't make much of a difference. So that's okay. Initial 1, 2, 3 years. Till 3 years, we do not do anything to correct it. After 3 years, we try to break the habit, just break the habit, because it wouldn't have caused so much damage. So it's mostly after 6 years or 7 years when the damage occurs. Until then, we try all possible. We first give the parents some home remedies that they can try for each of these habits to break it. Because most people know that you put something spicy on the thumb and the child will stop sucking it, but that never happens. Whatever you put, the child knows he can wipe it off, wash it off, and then do it again. So that is of no use. So we try to teach them multiple other things that they can try at home, give them some time. If it still doesn't work, then we give them something in the mouth. We fix something in the mouth temporarily on the palate, which can break the habit. Just as a reminder for the child. Okay, if I touch there, I'm not feeling the same thing as before, and the child remembers to pull their finger out. If you come to mouth breathing, now that is something very vast. The reason is not just habit. Habit is coming because of something else. There's probably a nose block, a child who continuously has nose block, or child who has frequent throat infection or throat problems, it's your tonsils, the adenoids. These are very common in children who get recurrent allergies. So their nose is blocked. When the nose is blocked, they don't have an option but to breathe from the mouth. So
Okay.
here, before us, the first person they should go to is an ENT.
Okay.
Because that also, at a young age, we might just give them some medicines to get over the allergies, to get over the recurrent throat infections. But over time, that will lead to problems in the jaw development. That goes unnoticed.
Okay. So
So
it's
go.
so if they're breathing from the mouth, the first thing is that there may be some blockages, nasal blockages, and after that you need to meet a pediatrician because it will lead to deformities in the jaw in the longer run.
Yes, ENT preferably. Before even a pediatrician, go to an ENT doctor.
Okay, right. Right. And about the night grinding?
Night grinding, see, mostly in babies, it happens if there's any stomach discomfort, and generally we say do a deworming. If the deworming is missed, they put up these symptoms of grinding at night and all. Later on, it's mostly, see, major reason for night grinding for adults and kids is stress. But stress or some psychological discomfort or some irritation somewhere in the stomach, that leads to night grinding in children. That is simple. We don't do much. We give them a splint kind of thing that they wear at night, similar to what we do for adults, so that the teeth do not come in contact. So when we basically put a barrier between the upper and lower teeth. So if the child is grinding too much, what happens? The tooth starts wearing off.
Right.
They grind so hard that the tooth starts wearing off. Mostly it's because of a psychological problem, some discomfort, some stress, some restlessness, or children usually come just before exams when they are a little stressed. That's when they come up with this. So there is nothing much to do there. We give them that barrier. You just wear that and sleep at night, or at least not damaging your tooth. The stress is eventually going to go up. How long can a child be stressed? Exams go, vacation starts, they are fine.
But make sure that kind of stress doesn't really erode their teeth away, Make sure
That's
you take that. That's a really good point, doctor. So, doctor, what do you think? What do you say? I mean, we're all new parents. We're all in nuclear families, and sometimes we don't have a lot of us. We not have someone to guide us. So, can you suggest the right way that parents should brush their children's teeth or teach the children the technique of brushing the teeth?
First thing, don't move to an adult toothbrush too soon because the mouth itself is not big enough to accommodate an adult toothbrush. Stick to a child toothbrush, and the brushing should, the easiest way that they can do is go in circular motions on outside and the inside of the teeth, the back side of your upper and lower tooth. Just go in circular motions. That's the easiest for anybody to do. That
Okay.
anything complicated, anything more than this, the child is not going to be able to follow it. For the parent also, it's a little difficult for both of them. So just go in circles from the end to the end. Just make sure you're looking at the teeth when you're brushing. If the parent is brushing the child's teeth, holding the child in front and doing this might be a little uncomfortable. Probably have a mirror and have the child facing the mirror, and you can stand behind the child and brush. The support is also better. So you can try something like that. So each one has their own technique. We can only guide. Parenting is a whole, altogether a different ball game. So each mother knows their child the best. But the brushing, you just make sure when you're brushing your child's tooth, you should be able to see their teeth. If you don't see, it's brushing blindly. You're not going to reach every spot that you're supposed to reach.
Right. That was actually a really nice tip and a really nice idea. I mean, I think most of us actually make our kids just stand in front of us and just, rotate it. Instead of that, we could stand behind them, have a mirror in front, and actually look at how we are going about brushing the teeth.
Yeah, when they're in the front, there is no support for the neck. They're just going to keep bending that way. You'll
Right.
keep brushing and they bend that way. There's no support. When you are there behind them, they can support on your back or your stomach. Sorry, they can lean on you and you can see the teeth properly.
Yes, that's a nice one. I'm going to do that tomorrow, doctor. Yes, I haven't.
Let me know how it goes.
Oh, yes. People are just pouring in. They're loving the tips, doctor. I mean, I am loving these tips so much. There's so much of, really nice information on simple things we can ensure in daily life and look out for in our kids to ensure that they have a good oral health, you can say. Yes. So, doctor, could you give us some tips on maintaining a good oral hygiene?
Nothing is better than brushing. Nothing is better than brushing. Brush once in the morning, brushing once in the night. That does most of the thing. In case you need that the child snacks a lot. Now that is one of the major reasons why decay also happens. The child doesn't stop with breakfast, lunch and dinner. There is breakfast, there is post-breakfast, pre-lunch, lunch, post-lunch, evening snack, pre-dinner, dinner, then dessert. There's so many meals in between. So every time the child eats, there is a risk for decay. So there is a cycle every time you eat, be it a child or be it an adult. The decay cycle is as soon as you eat something, there is some amount of acid that is formed in your mouth, and that slowly pulls out all your minerals from the teeth. And there is a time period you need, nearly around 2 hours, for everything to go back to being normal. So if within those 2 hours you again end up eating something, there is again more acid. That recovery period is gone. So what happens when you frequently keep snacking? This is same for you or your child. If you frequently keep snacking, you're increasing your chances of getting decay. So
Okay.
if preferably if the child has eaten breakfast or the child is used to having sweet, instead of timing it separately. So if the child prefers to have lunch and then have a piece of sweet or a candy, give it immediately. Finish the
Okay.
lunch, give the sweet to them, and that's done. Then the next 2 hours they get nothing.
Right.
And they just rinse the mouth and keep it clean for next 2 hours. And then after that, probably the evening snack. And then again for a couple of hours, nothing. And then dinner and then nothing. So just space the snacks apart with rinsing the mouth in between and keeping the mouth a little clean in between these snackings. And frequency has to come down. The snacking frequency has to really come down. And
So it's
substitute
like,
the
yes, doctor.
most most parents give like the snacks need not be always biscuits and chips and candies. Try to substitute it with things like, I know it's hard, it's easier said than done, but salads or fruits or something like that, something which is a little fibrous. as compared to things that are just going to melt in the mouth and then stick there.
Right. And I really hope my husband's listening, doctor. So, all we mothers are always there trying to give them their best, and you have someone who's there to pamper them with all these things that are available. So, yes.
Yeah, we got our share also from our grandparents, sneaking in those candies and everything.
So, we have someone who's asking us, doctor, what is the right age to start flossing?
See, mostly milk teeth, all children, most common is they have gaps naturally in between their teeth. For such teeth, you do not need to floss because there is so much of gap in between that everything is just going to get washed through and through. For teeth, when you notice two teeth are very close together, that you feel food is getting stuck there, irrespective of age, you should start flossing. It's not age dependent, it's how close together the teeth are kept. If you feel the teeth are touching each other, floss. If the teeth are spaced a little bit apart, you don't have to floss.
Okay. So it depends on the gaps that are between the teeth that you take a call whether to floss or not. But after you're saying 3 years of age or something approx, right?
3 years is probably when all the teeth will come in. 2.5 to 3 is when the back teeth completely settle in the mouth. Until then, everything is just coming. So flossing is not, you don't have those tight places where food can get stuck. By around 3 is when all the teeth come and settle into the mouth, then you can start observing. If there is no gap, by that time I hope they would have visited a pediatric dentist at least once. So the dentist will definitely tell them that the contacts between the teeth are too tight and you should floss for your child and everything.
Right. There's someone who's just written one question, but they haven't written down the question. Could you type down your question? We go out. Till then, again, doctor, when the teeth fall, we have a lot of kids I see nowadays where they have their milk teeth that have fallen, but the new teeth don't seem to come out aligned. They really are. I see a lot of kids who see the front and back, and when the new teeth come, is that okay or is that a concern?
No, that's a concern. See, that is happening because naturally your permanent teeth, the new teeth, are bigger than the milk teeth. That is how teeth are. But then what happens when there is no space in the jaw? Now again, this will correlate to any habit the child has, because of which the jaw has not widened as early as the tooth have started coming in. It should go simultaneously, hand in hand. The jaw should also grow, the teeth should also come in, and that's when they come in at the correct time and correct position. So when the teeth are crooked, we should immediately look into why it is crooked. It is crooked probably because there's no space there. And the reason there is no space is somewhere the development has not happened the way we thought it should happen. Caught early at the right age, we can do a few things here and there sometimes that can just correct and create space, just widen the jaw or create a little space so that the teeth fit in. So sometimes it is possible, but if they come in a little too late, then we just push it to braces. We can't do anything much at that age. But it happens. Mostly the reason is that the teeth are there, but there's no space in the jaw for it to fit.
Right. And I think that kind of relates to you telling us that, chew your fibers and have all those things so that your jaws grow so that the teeth come out well. So, all of you having very small kids, please start doing it to ensure that, the oral hygiene is maintained. And otherwise, Dr. Sharanya is always there for us to help her out. Could you type down your handle, doctor, so everyone knows where they can find you for all their queries and consultations?
Okay, I should type it down here.
Yeah, type it down here. So, and there are 2-3 more questions. There's someone who says manage of pedo PPS is difficult. Any tips on that?
I think they mean patience.
Okay.
Yeah, they mean patience. Oh, that's a whole total 3 years of degree to explain then. How to manage the kids in the clinic. That's 3 years of post-graduation. I just can't concise it here.
So we have doctor's handle here, Krishna_dentist_studio. So she's always available for all your consultations and all your queries. She's there online and offline. And I'm loving the way you're consulting and guiding us, doctor, into the preventive practice rather than the treatment part of it. So that is a really, really helpful way for all parents out here. Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you.
There's this one more. How to get rid of white deposit between the teeth? And what is the best age for the first dental checkup?
First dental checkup has to be at age one, as
As soon
early as the first tooth comes in, irrespective if it's the first birthday or if it is the first tooth, whichever is earlier. That is when, see, even the gum pads have to be cleaned. Even before the teeth come in, the gums that are there in a baby, in an infant, you have to clean those too. Otherwise, there's so much of bacterial deposits that keep happening. When the tooth comes out, the first tooth comes out, you're just exposing it to bacteria. So even the gum pads, just take a muslin cloth or any soft cotton cloth, dip it in plain water and just keep wiping it. Especially after the child feeds and everything, no? Just keep wiping and keeping the mouth clean. The first visit has to be when the first tooth comes out. And white deposits, see, mostly kids do not have those. They don't come with a lot of white deposits, but sometimes they do. Like I said, when the saliva is really thick, there are deposits that stick on the teeth. We can clean it off. Professionally, if you come to us, there's scaling for kids that we can just clean off those white deposits. It can't be done at home if it's hardened. If it's just soft plaque, it'll go with brushing.
Okay, and if it's hardened, you need to scale it out by visiting a pediatrician,
But
pediatric
that's
dentist.
not so common in kids. Maybe older kids, maybe when they are 8, 9 years or of age, that becomes a little common if they have not kept their hygiene and they've not kept their mouth clean. But at 4, 5, the really small ones, the milk teeth stage, no, that doesn't happen much. Older, yes.
It happens. And are these white deposits harmful?
Over time, yes. So they sit somewhere between your teeth and your gums at the border. Typically, for adults and children alike, they sit at the border. So that area becomes very vulnerable. So that is slowly pushing your gums down. It's taking the place of your gum. So it's become a hard deposit. It's going to be very visible. You can even feel it with your tongue if it's on the inside. It's that evident. So if you notice it, immediately just get it cleaned.
Okay, so immediately get it cleaned. Yes, so that is a kind of, alarm signal. Yes, if you're an older kid, do get it cleaned immediately.
Yes.
Right. So there's someone who asking the things to do regularly to maintain normal teeth.
Brush. I mean, that's our one go-to mantra. I mean, brush, keep it clean, your teeth are going to be good enough. There's nothing much you can do. Everything in the mouth is preventive. It's
Right.
like, it's not a disease that inevitably comes to you. See, growth and all, yes, okay, the growth of the jaws or the arrangement or the shape of the teeth is genetic. There is a lot of genetic factors in it. Your decay may not be as genetic as these things. So it's preventive. If you keep the teeth clean, you're safe. And especially for kids, when parents are feeding them, the bacteria can go even from mother to child. So if the mother has a lot of cavities and they take a bite from the child's food and then use the same spoon to feed the child, you're exposing the child to bacteria from your mouth. So that also can be a way of transmitting decay from one person to the other, or siblings, or play schools, where one child has picked up a toy, put it in their mouth, left it there, one other child comes and puts it in their mouth. The bacteria is moving places. So that is also a risk for decay. So as long as the mouth is clean, everything is fine.
Makes sense. This someone was telling us that doctor, please do a session for adults as well. They need it more.
I think you should get a proper general dentist.
Yes, going for a general dentist will do that, to get adult consultation. Yes. I think convincing adults is a whole different level. You can actually talk to kids easier than that. Very helpful and informative session. You are the best. We're getting a lot of comments and a lot of love being pouring in, doctor. We'll take up one or two more questions, doctor, if you don't
Sure,
mind.
sure. It's
Yes.
okay.
So someone's just asking us, how frequently should we floss?
For a child or adult? Adult, probably every day. For a child, like I said, if the contacts are tight, if the teeth are placed too close together, then yes, floss every day.
Okay.
Floss every day if the teeth are placed too close together. If not, if it's just once in a while the food gets stuck and the teeth are not so close together, then you can space it as it is needed.
Okay, as and when needed, so you can say twice a week, max to, or thrice a week, as and when needed.
But yeah, if the teeth are too close together, better do it every day.
Right. There's someone who asked me us what happens when the baby is born with teeth? Should it be removed?
See, born with teeth is it's gonna hurt the mother when the child is feeding more than anything else. And if the tooth is shaking, then there's a risk the child might just swallow the tooth also. If it's that loose or something. So yes, better get rid of it. It's usually a milk tooth. So for the next 6, 7 years, the child may not have a tooth there, but at least the other risks are avoided.
Okay.
Remove it. Remove it as soon as you can. The
Yeah.
mother is going to have a hell of a time feeding the child.
And there is always the danger of the child swallowing the teeth, as you said. So that's a bigger risk.
That's a bigger risk.
That's a bigger risk. Yes. I hope all the questions have been answered. Yes, I think we have answered all the questions. Yes, doctor, that was an amazing, amazing session, a brilliant one, and so many nice tips given out to us. Which, I truly believe can help us in preventing, what you can say dental problems, which yeah, obviously arrive when we are coming to you, but at a level we can ensure that the child has a good oral hygiene.
Yes.
What's the best material for apexification? I think that is a
That's
technical.
a too technical for this. Yeah.
Too technical for this session, yes. Great, okay. Yes, doctor. So thank you so much, doctor, for being with us and for taking out your time with us today and for guiding all of
Anytime.
us how we can maintain the oral hygiene of our little ones and in a way, yes, of ours also with these tips.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much, doctor. Have a lovely weekend.
You too. Enjoy.
Thank you and have a lovely weekend, all of you. Keep taking out free time for yourself and keep following us and look into Dr. Sharanya's page, Krishna_dental_studio for a lot more tips that she's going to keep giving out over there on oral hygiene and Woo Factors for a lot more tips we are going to give you for taking out me time for yourself. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Okay. Good night.
Bye. Yes, I'm just going to end the session. Just a second. And